and welcome to the Holy Hour podcast. It's the bi-weekly All Cure podcast. I am Gavin, and I'm joined by Chaz. How's it going, man?
Going really well. I'm just checking the sales on my the new Cure shirt that I put up.
How's it looking?
So it's looking good.
Is it the Wish one? Did it officially go up?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Everybody stop immediately and go over to 17_seconds on Instagram. Check it out. You're going to love this shirt.
You're going to love it.
You're going to
love the way you look.
Yeah. It was worth 30 years for the anniversary for this. But
I asked my printer and I was just like, is there any way that we can do like the original? Like, and I was like, I'll send you all the artwork and everything. And he looked at it, he's just like, whoa. Dude, you'd have to go to like some like custom place, like because we don't do prints that big.
Yeah.
And he's just like, yeah, that's like it's a one print one side, one print on back side. And he's just like, yeah, you're gonna have to find somebody else. So I was just like, you know what? That's not worth it.
Yeah. So if you have anybody in question, it's the tie-dye Wish with everything on it, basically the giant hand. And
all the artwork from the album and the singles mostly.
Yeah.
So little pieces of each, not all the artwork, but
recall that beauty. So this one's way cooler though. Your revised version, I think, even looks way cooler.
And I put the Lost Wishes artwork in there on purpose.
Nice. So it's got the whole shebang.
Yeah. So I hope everybody enjoys it. But
he wasn't like, are you sure you want to reproduce that? You want this out in the world again? I remember thinking that shirt was like just so hideous, but I loved it in like a humorous way. But now I'm like looking at it, I'm like, especially looking at yours, I'm like, that's just cool as hell looking, man. It's a nice non-black Cure shirt. It'll be a good summer shirt. I'm gonna look great in this.
The other tie-dye one sold really well too, and cool. I still love that shirt.
Wayne Henson wears his like a uniform. He loves it.
Enough about me.
T-shirts, but we're on the late night shift. We're good. We're here. We're doing this old school style, and thanks Chaz for making this work. We got So while Antonio's not with us, he's got a busy week coming up, and we're recording this one pretty late in the evening. So we're going late show, and we're gonna rush to get this one out to you guys on Sunday. So it's about as relevant as we'll ever be with our timing on things.
Yeah.
But we got
Happy Father's Day in advance.
Yeah, I guess it's right around the corner. You too, man. So,
thank you,
and everyone out there. But we're gonna be talking Top of the Pops tonight. This is a cool topic you shot me when you were in deep of COVID times, right? You were like having fever dreams and watching Top of the Pops and Jimmy Savile and
we're gonna get into it. But I was watching the Jimmy Savile. I think it's British Horror Story or whatever it is. It's on Netflix.
Yeah,
and I would recommend everybody watch it, but don't do it when you have COVID.
Yeah.
Because it just turns into a giant fever dream.
Sure.
It's a big mess.
And if you die, you don't want it to be the last thing you see. That would just be a horrible way to exit the place. It's not going to make you feel good. But,
thanks, Gavin. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you survived and that was not the final.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But it's a fascinating thing. At first I was like, videos. I was like, well, it is just such a whole weird package in itself. Top of the Pops and just the weirdness of those performances by the Cure on it, and the weirdness of the show, especially to people here in the U.S. It's definitely an odd thing that there might even be a few listeners out there that have no clue what we're even talking about with Top of the Pops. So and then
we got some British fans that are gonna tell us that we're wrong about everything, which I'm excited about.
Even while just doing the quickie notes, I was just like, oh, okay, and like learning stuff and scratching things out, and I was just like learning things about it too, because it is just a strange, but and we encourage that too. Any British fans or anybody that's familiar with Top of the Pops and grew up on it and stuff will definitely know, because there's a lot of weirdness as far as like why did they do it like this? Why are they what? So okay, cool. And it's I guess we could just dive right into it then. It's just a show that was on Mostly aired on Thursdays on BBC One, and would later shift during its kind of death rattle days. I think they tried to hop it around, but I think it was kind of known for always being a Thursday night thing, and ran a long time. It debuted in January 1st, 1964, and ran all the way to July 30th, 2006. And it's credited as the world's longest running weekly music show. With over 2,000 episodes recorded. And I guess as far as a weekly music show, I'm trying to think of what would even come close to that. Is like,
I thought about that too. I was like, Soul Train was one of the only things I could think of that was like an American
equivalent,
like the closest comparison.
And that's it. I always kind of thought Top of the Pops leaned more towards like American Bandstand kind of thing, where it was more of like filming the kids dancing, but this seemed to be more just focused on the bands sort of performing, but being there, and then the kids dancing to that and stuff. But it didn't really like pan around to the crowd as much as like, what was that MTV one later? It was like a full on dance show where they would just.
There was the grind.
The grind.
Where,
in the 90s.
I had plenty of private time to that show myself in the early days. I was doing some grinding.
So many halter tops. But,
I was also thinking of like even Total Request Live would be something close to it, but I mean they didn't. From my memory, they didn't have bands come on and play live. Maybe every once in a while.
Yeah, but they would occasionally.
But they would have fans there, and they would watch the videos, and they would be the top bands that are around and everything. But like, I don't think there's really anything American that you can compare it to.
Yeah. So it's kind of leaning towards American Bandstand, but I'm not even really familiar enough with that format to know what the hell they were doing on that. But yeah, I guess the relevance of this show, from what I could piece together, was just because it was like a countdown show, basically, of the charts, and that's kind of why you put up with all the weird, like, what? Okay, miming, dancing, sure, whatever. But basically, they're counting down the top songs of the week, I guess, and so they would, be mostly miming all the way until later years everywhere. They would be lip syncing to it for the most part. And they would focus on songs that would enter the charts and the ones that were climbing really fast. Highest new entry. They would exclude singles that were going down in the charts. I said until the late 90s because everything peaked at its debut position and dropped. So they kind of smudged that after a while. But for the most part, if they were dropping down the charts and had been there a while, they wouldn't have that band on necessarily. So usually I think the bands that they would have on were ones that were new or climbing the charts really fast, like to keep an eye on, and they would always end the show with the number one single. But do you remember like initially when you caught on to what the hell Top of the Pops was, or your first impression of it? Or?
It was just like I just looking up Cure videos, I think the first one I saw was it's the one where Robert and Simon are both playing bass.
Like Primary, maybe.
It was one of the first ones. Yeah, it was Primary. Yeah, it was Primary.
So
I was just like, why are they both playing bass?
Just like these little flags would start going off. It's like, wait, his strings are really loose. Wait, he's not even moving. His guitars aren't even plugged in. What's going on around here?
He's really far away from the microphone.
Yeah, barely got his eyes open. But I caught on, I guess, early on with the idea of it from that visual documentary Cure book I got as a kid, and it would go through like their gigs and stuff by date, and they kept just saying this Top of the Pops thing, played and performed on Top of the Pops. I was like, what is that? And I kept thinking it was like a show I could catch if I just found the right channel on cable or something. I was like, oh, this show sounds amazing.
If you had a satellite back in the 80s, you might have been able to get it.
I don't know. Yeah, I remember at various times we had like, I think it was BBC America though or something, where they would just send like kind of a highlights version or some shit, but it might have been on that even. So yeah. And I remember super early on, I want to say like mid high school or something, the Smiths put out a DVD of videos, but they didn't really have that many videos.
Yeah.
So they put the Top of the Pops performances on there, and I was like super confused because those are like just them, like, you know, that's where he's all flinging the flowers everywhere and shit and wearing the hearing aids. And I was just like, what the hell is this? This isn't a video. It isn't like, why'd they put this on here? So I was reading the back, and that was like, oh, okay, it must be some kind of Soul Train.
Performance is a very loose term.
Yeah, that's what's tough. I wrote that down. I put it in like quotes on everything. I was like, performing. At least the Cure would make some kind of performance out of most of it. So
yeah.
So yeah, with that in mind, the full episodes you can track down on YouTube. There's a few of them. I didn't see it, like, you know, I didn't really hunt for many. You know, like I said, there's over 2,000 of them. I'm sure there's somebody that has a playlist of full ones. But when I was trying to just get a feel for what the hell this show was, I watched a couple like super early, like 70s ones even and stuff, and really weird because it starts out like without a live audience really, and it was almost like they would you know, they're recorded separately, obviously they would have them in there and they do it like they're performing live, but they're miming, and then it would just go over to another band even if they weren't in the room, or just cut to another band but they didn't have anybody like dancing or anything. Apparently that came like in the 80s more, when they turned it into more of like a party dance thing where they got the kids in there. And then they would have bands, I guess numerous bands on there, and almost like those Jules Hollins things when they actually are performing, you know, and it would pan over to another stage or something. But because the Cure said they'd always avoid the other bands and stuff when they were on there and just hide in the back room or whatever. So I guess they were just filming a bunch that day maybe, and they would just crank a whole bunch out, and then because everything seems super chopped up, and then they would put it together, I'm assuming that week or whatever. So yeah, it was just kind of weird bad music videos early on, and then they'd add the kids while they were fake performing. So yeah, as ridiculous all of it sounds, it was weird though that like Top of the Pops is like this, it seems, maybe this is where our British listeners could help us out. It seems like a rite of passage though, or almost like a mile marker for band success levels in a sense though, because I guess because it relates to chart success. So as much as a lot of these bands would gripe about it, including the Cure and stuff, they would still be on there, you know?
Yeah.
They would still do it. It's like you had to do it almost.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, because they were on it so many times, but they didn't like going on it. But like, it seems like it's an institution in England, and it's something you kind of sort of have to do.
Yeah.
If you want to succeed and keep doing what you're doing.
And I think early on in particular, it probably has more weight because that's what I was like making the note that it was like, really, if you like think about it from 1964 to 81, that's already a huge stretch of time. That's like all pre-MTV or anything. So that's like the only time you're going to see these bands or hear about this music. So I'm sure, you know, even
they all probably watched it growing up too.
Yeah. I had a quote there that Robert, you know, amongst many people have cited, you know, seeing Bowie do Starman in 1972, like changed his whole world and life, you know, and, you know, so many people that's up there with that Sex Pistols show, you know, that everybody was at.
Everybody was there. Yeah.
Everybody bought a guitar or something, you know. But yes, I mean, I guess that does make sense that even though he knows it's bullshit and ridiculous and hates every part of it, there's a certain part of him that's like, fuck yeah, we're on Top of the Pops, you know? And knows that it's getting out there. But so the weird thing too is the miming, I guess, is something that's just really odd because it's like it kind of makes sense on surface level, but then when I started like really looking at how long this fucking show like went on and they just kept sticking to it, and then I dug into like why they did it, and there was just these stories that wouldn't really add up. You know, I wasn't writing a book on it, so I didn't totally dive into it, but at the same time I looked it up. It said in 1964, and initially they were lip syncing to their actual recordings they would make. So the bands that were entering the charts would lip sync to their recordings. But then for legal reasons, around 66, so just a couple of years into it, the musicians union put a ban on it because they didn't want them, like, I guess, not including maybe session musicians and stuff. So there was some kind of like something that the union was upset about. So for a few weeks, the bands did try to play live, and they all sounded completely shitty. Is that what it sounded like? They didn't really say if it was because the bands were shitty and couldn't play their like fancy studio version, or just the whole. If you think about the TV studios and everything, and their cameras couldn't capture anything. If somebody was banging on drums, it would sound horrible, I'm sure. So, assuming that's what they probably mean. But so as a compromise, they reached where the band would record a unique backing track. It said, as long as all the musicians were actually there in the studio that played on it. So they would almost record like a quick shitty version that they could then mime to that. And then like they would add a live orchestra to accompany the mimed stuff, even with a live vocal group, but the singer would still be like lip syncing to some version he recorded, whatever. I was like, what? This seems like way more work than it is to
me. So we're just gonna play, right? Well, no, you're gonna record. And then we're gonna play. No, then you're gonna pretend like you're playing to the thing that you just recorded.
Yeah, and I guess that all still just stems to they can control the sound better that way because they don't. Really
so, but
because if you think of it, this must have fizzled out fairly quickly. Because even by like the early '80s with the Cure ones, it's all like the actual studio. That's their recordings. Those aren't like quickie other versions they did, So
I wish it were.
Yeah, I know. It'd be like a whole nother version. But apparently that fizzled out fairly quickly, I'm assuming. But it's still baffling why the hell the miming went on for that long, to me anyway. It seems like eventually the studio cameras and the sets, because you start looking at the excuses and they're like, well, catered to the bands that weren't as good live and couldn't nail all the notes and everything, and then the acoustics in the room and the studio sucked. Well, it's like, well, clearly if the show's been on for 20 years, you think you could get a pretty good sound studio and make it good.
If the Jon Stewart show can do it for Helmet,
exactly,
you can do it for, I don't know, Psychedelic First. Come on.
It seems baffling. By the 80s they should have definitely had it together. But and like I said, bands like the Cure clearly would have rather played live. You can tell by that when they start, that's what they're notorious for on these. I'm sure the other bands did it, where you're just goofing it and miming to it, but not, and like making it super obvious that you're not really singing it. They said that a lot of bands just kind of embraced it too, and I kind of could see this maybe before MTV fully kicked off, where they kind of embrace the visual artsy aspect of it more, and the fashion side, and because it wasn't like I said,
it's your time to show off.
Wear something cool and do whatever and fling flowers around or whatever you're thinking. But it was pretty crazy. Like we said, the Cure will go through their specific performances that we've been able to track down. I think we were able to get a pretty complete list of every time they're on there, and definitely want to talk through there. But when you have a show that's been around this long, there's bound to be some scandalous moments.
Absolutely.
Some hot moments, especially going through the 70s and 80s. There's so much cocaine flying around that goddamn studio.
Oh my God.
Even just watching the Cure performances, it's just like, oh my God, this is like cocaine visualized, just seeing the whole like sets and everybody dancing. And
the walk performances are like, he has glasses on for a reason.
Oh yeah,
and it's like he is. Woo.
Yeah, because I mean, if you think about it, you take a band and you're like, you got to perform, but you don't really have to perform, and they're probably not really planning on doing it anyway. So it's all like perfect opportunity to get a little too trashed and get out there and do what you got to do and look cool. So I mean, we wanted to touch on the idea that it was a strange thing that the show got so much love and had been around for so long, but there's definitely some interesting dark avenues, as we heard about in that documentary. But not all Jimmy Savile though, right? Maybe a quick nod to some of the others. I heard that there was quite a few what would they be considered? VJs or hosts? Just host, maybe? Like they had these.
I guess you would call them hosts.
They just kind of crack a joke and maybe say a fact or two, or presenter. Yeah, and then introduce.
They have them listed as presenters.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So and I'm sure they were kind of like local or not local, but what kind of small C celebrities? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm assuming none of these people were like huge by any means, but maybe as much as like a VJ could have been a big celebrity in the 80s or something. But,
probably. I mean, you're probably a DJ at first, and then you're coming on, and then you probably have people that are associated with music magazines and all that, music critics or whatever, they come on too. So, and whoever the hot person is at the time. So like I know John Peel was a presenter. So
was he? I saw him on one clip, but I wasn't sure how regular he was on
for the Cure. It looks like he did 1, 2, 3. Looks like he did 3 or 4. So yeah,
that's pretty cool.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Gotta get him out of there. Don't need to be hanging out with that crowd, John.
No, absolutely not, man. Run.
So a lot of scandals behind the scenes stuff, and like we said, there's definitely, if we thought we should pay a few minutes to talk about our man Jimmy there that is just strange. Had you been familiar with him before any of this?
A little bit. Just when everything kind of came out, I was familiar with him with all that. Gary Glitter. He was mixed up with him. So I didn't know him really before that. So did you?
Just visually, I think, like just seeing that image of him, he's just like, wow, what a wacky dude, and just that ridiculous hairdo and stuff. And I just assumed he was some kind of national treasure for them.
No.
Maybe to a certain degree. But I guess so. He's I guess we wanted to devote, if anyone's been listening to Chaz's other podcast recently, Excommunication Station, you've definitely developed a fine art for talking about sleazy people.
Thank you.
It's like, he's really got this down good. We should totally cover Jimmy Savile.
Well, we don't want anyone to dive into Top of the Pops and be blindsided by what happened with Jimmy Savile. I'm sure most of our listeners know who he is, but if you don't, here's a short rundown. Savile was one of the biggest media figures in UK history. He was an extremely influential and popular DJ. His quirky and eccentric behavior mixed with his charm made him one of the most unique and strange celebrity of the day and probably all time. I can't really think of anybody in the United States that you could compare him to. Do you?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to explain to somebody recently, and they were like, "Who?" And I was like, "He's kind of
Tiny Tim."
I was like, if Emu Phillips had really just taken some bad turns, but I mean, he's just a weirdo. He's fine, but especially with everything that went down that avenue of somebody that fits that mold. But I can't really think. I'm sure there's some crazy.
There's got to be somebody out there. But Savile was not only in the British music scene, where he knew the biggest bands of all time. He was also a huge television draw. He ran a 19-year TV show called Jimmy Fix It. It's where he would take wishes from people, but mostly kids, and make them happen. It's a very, if you looked at it at the time and not in retrospect, it seemed like a very nice,
so wholesome
cool thing that would happen. Yeah,
it's just like, my duck can't fly. And he's like, I'll put it on an airplane. It's just like, oh, Jimmy. It's just like, what?
Savile was also a huge humanitarian, as well as a volunteer, fundraiser, and philanthropist. He was such a big volunteer, he would have his own place to stay in within some of the hospitals in England. He would raise millions and millions of pounds for hospitals across the country. He was such a huge person in the UK, he was pushed by Margaret Thatcher to get a knighthood. And finally, in her last year of office, she got Jimmy Savile his knighthood. So he will be forever called Sir Jimmy Savile. He also got a papal knighthood in 1990 from Pope John Paul II. Birds of a feather. Anyway, Savile would die in 2011, and about a year after his death, the news broke about the type of person Jimmy Savile truly was. Jimmy Savile was one of the biggest sexual monsters of all time. Savile sexually molested, raped, and abused people, mostly children, for decades. There were multiple investigations into him, but they all got squashed by law enforcement and allegedly all the way up to the royal family. His most disgusting crimes were committed in hospitals, which he volunteered and lived in. He spent his career bringing in children and young people with music and TV shows that the hospitals only made sense to the outside world, but it was Jimmy's playground. In 2013, 32 hospitals, children's hospitals, psychiatric hospitals were all investigated. Savile would sexually abuse children as young as the age of 5 up to 75. The first report of his abuse goes back to 1955. And in 1960, a 10-year-old boy asked for his autograph at a hotel. Savile took him inside and sexually abused him. He groped and molested people at Tops of the Pops, just as he did at Leeds General Infirmary, where he abused 60 people, with 33 of them being patients. And they ranged again from the age of 5 to 75. Savile wouldn't just abuse able-bodied people, he would abuse psychiatric patients, catatonics, paralyzed patients, people that couldn't fight back, express their pain, or even be believed. And in the end, the true number will never be known. I read officially 72 actual confirmed abuse cases, but went up to approximately 500, but it could be in quadruple digits if we're going to be real about it. And that is Jimmy Savile. Yes. Human piece of shit.
Yeah. I think, I mean, just the idea that it was, so like broad in the shittiness too, in the sense of how it was like everything from just like, wow, that's super inappropriate, to like just full on the most nightmarish, horrific molestation kind of thing. Or it's just like, good God. And like, and how it was just so like, it seemed like there was a lot of sweeping it under the carpet, but I mean, the sense of like the idea that he was kind of out there, it was like a weird mix of like, he was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde to a certain degree, because he was doing these nice charity things and had like the sweet show or whatever. But at the same time, like all these interviews, he'd get on there and be like, "Oh, I'm just a sleazy old Jimmy," And it was almost like, I was like, how many? I mean, I guess nobody even thought their wildest dreams it was happening to like minors and little children, but at the same time, they're all kind of yucking it up with him.
Yeah, he would tell on himself all the time. And if you watch that documentary, they show it where he says, that he admits on camera to molesting people, and like, but it's Jimmy and it's a joke.
They're just like, what? He's just being crazy.
And like he had done it for so long that everybody just kind of took him as this quirky, weird, disgusting kind of person. And got all swept under the rug. And
it's just fascinating, how like far somebody could take that, and but
now back to the Cure. But I honestly, I brought that to Gavin because I didn't want anybody to go on Top of the Pops and like go down that rabbit hole and kind of be shocked by it.
Like, holy shit, it's that dude. But and apparently it's pretty hard to find any full repeats. They definitely don't show him any of his episodes. They've cut all of them or cut him out. I'm not sure how they do it exactly, but it's a pretty long list of a lot of performers, Gary Glitter included, that they just kind of erased a lot of those and don't show them on repeats. He how many times did he present the Cure? Did you have that number?
I think just once. I think it was just the walk, but he was still I mean, because after a while he wasn't really involved in the show.
Yeah.
And then he would come back for like big appearances, and he was there for the last episode. But he was, I mean, I don't quote me on this, but I believe that he was just a producer of the show for that whole time.
Oh, wow. So yeah,
but he was still connected to it in one way or another.
Yeah, because he was on episode 1. Yeah, he was like the first presenter, I think, in the first one, and all the way to the last one. Yeah, they said the final episode on July 30th, 2006 was soured by Savile being there. Just being there. So can't even replay the first or last episode anymore. Great job.
Ruining it for everyone.
Yeah, so it's not hard to imagine things like that might start the slow death of Top of the Pops over the years, but I think it was probably inevitable anyway. A show like that would kind of start to fade out through the 90s. They switched it, like we said, to Friday nights, and kind of the traditions were broken.
You also have so many late night shows that are playing these bands live, that it kind of, and you can get them on, with a satellite, or if you have the internet if it goes on, so you don't really, there's no really need for Top of the Pops anymore.
And videos, totally cover and videos, if you're just gonna mime to something, make a cool video. So and just look up what chart position they're at. But they tried to reboot in 2003, that didn't really work either, and then by 2006 it closed the doors there. As we were trying to put all the Cure performances together, it was worth noting, though, I mean, just further testimony, I guess, the success of the show is that there's so many knockoffs or international variations of Top of the Pops. There's French ones and German ones in particular that you always see these Cure ones. They're like, oh, that's gotta be Top of the Pops, but it was just like top with an E at the end or something. And I was like, oh, this is a whole different show where they get out there and mime. So
the German one has a real weird vibe, and like nobody smiles.
You can kind of tell it's not quite the party. Less sleaziness even somehow going on before. I guess we can Jimmy will come up again, unfortunately, but let's dive into the actual Cure performances. But
absolutely.
So I got about 16 Cure appearances noted. It's hard because there's multiples for a few, so I think my final count was counting all of them, and 3 Susie and the Banshees, where Robert was on, with Susie and the Banshees. I do have a playlist on our YouTube page, and I'll link it to our Facebook page too, that you guys can check out to see these as we wrap up afterwards. You can relive the magic. Quality's better on some than others, of course, like anything on YouTube. That's but there's some pretty good ones in there, and for the most part, all of them are on there. I think there was only a couple that I didn't quite track down. So
I have 19.
But
we can go.
I guess that would be with the 3 Susie ones. Do you have Susie?
No, okay. I don't have any Susie ones.
I might have just miscounted my list too. But maybe we got one on there. So
come on, do your job.
Let's do the list. What are numbers? So nothing from 3 Imaginary Boys. They didn't come out blazing that great where they got anything on that one. But their debut Top of the Pops performance would be A Forest. I had it as April 24th, 1980. They had a quote from it. Robert says, "I just couldn't believe how boring it was being on there. The people who go whoop whoop, I really hate them. I have to be physically restrained sometimes," he says. And they avoided the other bands. Robert's thumb was all bandaged up from that tire incident earlier. And I initially at some point thought that they used part of the clip of that in the video, but I don't think that's the case. It was just filmed probably around the same time there. We had the big bandaged thumb for that too. But basically the same kind of thing, though. They all, did the very bored face thing, which, was kind of their thing. I don't know how related the Top of the Pops that was. They did it in the video too, but little robot face thing. And but they gave pretty decent effort on the performance there. This is one of their more valiant efforts of acting like they're actually Simon anyway. Simon was a good sport. He was playing real good. Robert definitely was just kind of clunking along on something. Lowell had a big floppy cymbal, was the only visible note of him not really playing on his hi-hat. There's some kind of big, I couldn't tell what the hell it was on there, but instead of the cymbal, something was almost looked like a warped record or something. There flopping around.
And then they had you see the image of Robert with like multiple Roberts in the background.
Yeah,
like the whole like trippy.
yeah. The effects are pretty rough all the way through on most of these when they would try to throw some little effects in. I think they kind of give up about halfway through even, but yeah, so nothing too noteworthy, but a good solid Top of the Pops debut.
Presented by Steve Wright. If you see the video, you can see him. I have no fucking clue who he is, but he's got a big ugly mustache. Yeah, porn glasses. Yeah, he looks. Ugh.
And in like I think it was 10 Imaginary Years book, they kept saying that the first and second, which would be their next performance the following year for primary, that the announcers mispronounced their name. But when I listened to it, he's just got a cure, or something like that. But I didn't really maybe in the studio or something they said it. I don't know how you mispronounce cure, but cure.
Yeah. I just turned on the video and for primary, and I don't hear an intro.
Yeah. So something that might be in there. But yeah, the following year, April 16th, 81, they come on for primary, and much like their first appearance, openly mocked their performance by obviously miming. They're playing two basses. That's the first clue on this one here. So while it's kind of a nod to maybe the 6-string bass, the bass 6 there, but it's not another full-on bass. So they'll do that trick a few times, as well as swapping instruments or playing completely different instruments than what they normally do. They already look cooler, I thought. Their image was kind of going in the right direction here. Kind of selling it. I thought this was, again,
Robert looks so disinterested.
Yeah.
He looks like he'd rather be at the dentist.
He's the most consistent one that is not sold on this. Everybody else is like, let's do it, man. Let's get some chart success. And he's just not having it.
The effects on this one are
well, they do I wrote bad 80s camcorder effects are used. They do like the werewolf vision and stuff. Is that what it is, where it goes to like the grainy kind of out?
They do like a blue and green like kind of like animation over their faces or whatever, and then they do that stop motion thing where they freeze the frame and then they move it, freeze the frame, and it looks like it's robotic. It's stupid,
real jumpy. So, just looks like your camera's skipping.
Hit your TV. Simon is fucking wailing this one.
He's selling it, isn't he? He's going off. So any other observations on that one you see?
No, not really. I just Simon. Oh my god, I'm watching the video right now, and Robert is literally 8 feet away from the microphone.
I think he's just like walking towards the exit before the song's over. Oh yeah, something I forgot to mention on a forest. It fades out like crazy early too. It wasn't even like a super long version of a forest, but it's just like halfway through the song, it just kind of fade out. They're like, "All right, and next, the more fun band."
I just love the fact that he's just he's singing. He's like, "Fuck this," and he's 10 feet away from the microphone.
Pretty nice.
Can you see this is fake? None of this is real. Kind of thing. So yeah.
But surprisingly, they did not get invited to Top of the Pops the next year for the album Pornography. Didn't have a performance. So
we would have loved to seen it though.
Yeah, would have been good.
Hanging garden,
a little hanging garden on Top of the Pops. Blood dripping from their eyes. And then we move into Robert's most reoccurring year, 1983. We were saying he was a regular at the Top of the Pop Studios this year.
Oh, yeah.
I counted 7 performances, including Susie and the Banshees. But so we'll walk you through it. But this is the time frame here. So 83, which is crazy. This is like the Cure's kind of off year, right? This was like their year where they're just taking it easy, putting a few singles out, and so The Walk is the single that's out. July 7th, 83, they come on for the first performance of The Walk. There would be 2. And for the first one, Porl's playing bass and Andy's playing drums. Lowell's there.
Is so fucking weird.
Wearing a weird.
This is so fucking weird.
this section is real weird. Lowell's wearing this crazy 80s studded jumper thing with like chains on it. It's just a strange. He wears that for both of them. Robert looks pretty cool with his shades on. Lots of jewelry.
He's not even he literally is leaning on the guitar.
Yeah,
like the guitar is upside down and he's got his hand on it. It's on it's on his leg.
This is Bono style guitar playing here. This is how you
amazing.
And there's like Road Warrior looking chicks dancing in cages off to the side on this one. So they look like they're post-apocalyptic.
I went to the Dallas Cowboys football stadium one time and to watch an Eagles Cowboys game, and there were dancers up along the top of the stadium, like in the lights and everything. And this is weirder than that. Like this is just
this is like full on. Like I said, like so many of these, it's like if you time ported into you're like, yep, I'm in the 80s. It's like there's no other time period this could be but the 80s. Everyone's like, hey, welcome to Space Club. It's more futuristic than now, even in fucking 2022. 23. What year is it? 22.
22, yeah. And I do love this lineup though that's playing though. It's very cool. Seeing Andy back there. In Pearl there.
So this is weird, and it sparked a little quickie text conversation we had going back and forth because there's 2 performances. What the hell's the deal with this? And we nerded that it has to have been like the same day. They're not like flying them back to do another Top of the Pops. Like I'm assuming they aired it different as it was climbing up the charts and doing better. They're like, and back for another, like, oh, it's climbing up the charts. So they show another one.
Yeah, it's the same set.
Yeah, same set.
But there's no dancers this time. So throw you off the scent.
No,
and Robert still has the shades on.
Phil's on this one,
Phil's on this one.
So they were both there.
It might have been.
So I guess they were both there. They just got rotated like 1 week, which makes no fucking sense. But the whole thing doesn't make any sense. It's like you would stop, then Robert's because he's wearing the same pretty much outfit, but he's got a blue shirt on one and a red shirt on another. So just slight little changes. And like you said, it was
they got the dancers out of there.
No dancers. She was freaking everybody out. So they're like, all right, let's do one without Cage Girl. And he's still holding his guitar, not playing it. Strings are all loose and out of place. Mole's wearing the same jumper. Eddie's there. But just super
I don't understand
changes.
why they couldn't, like, they're not playing live. Why couldn't they have all of them on stage at once?
Yeah, I know. At that point, just give him anything. Give him a flute or something. That's why it was so weird. Sense. I was like, it had to have been a different day where they're like, oh shit, we can't get Phil. Come on, Pearl, let's do this. And so that was the first one. It gets weird as it goes. But while we're still on the walk, there was a quote from the Melody Maker. It says, the Cure on Top of the Pops was an event almost as absurd as Jimmy Savile's inanity. They looked and acted bored, but all across the nation, Cure fans, Cure converts, and folk who can't tell the Cure from Culture Club couldn't care less. Interpreted Smith's stifled yawns as enigmatic arrogance. Such is the power of reputation. Such is the impact of dressing in black. So I'm like, was that a compliment? I can't tell.
I can't. It was like a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, I think so. It's just like, all right, perfect music journalism. But that was to sing how absurd the Cure on Top of the Pops is. I guess sums it up there.
Yeah. So that first walk performance was presented by John Peel.
Okay.
And David Jensen. I don't know who that is.
Oh yeah, they did a David Jensen mix. There's something that he worked with the Cure, did like a remix of, forget what it is, but something from this era. It was like Lament or something like that, or the Jensen mixes or sessions or something. It's a bootleg that floats around out there. So that's cool. But, so that was for the first one or the second one he did?
The first one. The second one for the walk was Jimmy Savile. And Pat Sharp. But yeah, so the Cure were in studio with Jimmy Savile at one point. I thought when I first sent you that text message, I was like, I wonder if he was ever there with
cross paths.
Yeah.
Which, by chance, I flipped back through Lowell's book just to see if somehow these Top of the Pops performances had to have some funny stories or little anecdotes or something, It says, one particular Top of the Pops encounter there sends shivers down my spine even now. Wonder who we could be talking about. We were there to perform the walk, and Porl, Andy, and myself were standing around the edges of the studio when somebody crept up behind us and said, "Oh, songs of Dracula, we are looking 10,000%. Eyeing us up and down was none other than the alleged old sex offender himself, Jimmy Savile." So even that, though, it's such like a weird, like, what the fuck kind of like comment is that even? Like, oh, songs of Dracula. Like, you could read it in so many voices that like would you even that you're like, like,
just don't touch me, please.
Looking up and down, you're looking 10,000%. So I guess you liked Lil's jumper with the chains and the whatever on it and zippers.
Oh god!
But yeesh,
I'm sure he did.
Yeah. So it sounded like luckily they made it out fairly unscathed. If that was the worst of it, I guess they got off pretty easy. So, So September 83, Robert would come back for Dear Prudence, which I had as the first Dear Prudence. He said maybe there was a third one floating around out there too, but
there might be.
And I remember Dear Prudence came out like way before Hyena, the actual album, when we did that episode. So I guess September 83 would be pretty far ahead of it still, for when the single came out. But on this one, I just noted that Robert really ups his not giving a fuck factor when he's with Susie even more. If somehow he could do it more, he did it more than when he's doing Cure songs even. He's just standing there like totally swaying around, really still. He has this kind of go-to move of putting his hand on the neck of the guitar over the top as opposed to under the bottom, just to show like
I have a still image of it. I'm just like, it doesn't make sense.
It comes back to that one a few times, but
he's finger picking the guitar, but he is like, looks like he's digging in the ground for some dirt with his finger, and like he's just pulling on it.
And it's almost like, everybody else in Susie's definitely like fucking into it and doing it, like where I wonder if he almost got yelled at for that one for fucking off too much, because it was like he's like clearly the only one standing there just swaying around holding his guitar all stupid. But it's pretty awesome. So looking good though, everybody, never an issue with Susie and the Banshees. They're all looking cool as hell.
So I have them on you said September 29th, and then I have them back on October 13th.
Okay, maybe that's the one I'm missing.
And then December 29th.
And then December I had, so I guess there's another one, which is crazy because it almost matches up with every like Cure one. So maybe he just scheduled them all to be on the same. Because almost immediately after in October 27th, what date did you have for the middle one? Was it the 27th?
Yeah.
Okay, that one was when they were on for Love Cats the first time, as far as I could tell. Both books, the 10 Imaginary Years and visual documentary from that one, made a real big note of saying Robert forgot the words during it. Like it matters. I don't think he's saying them anyway. So they wanted to make a note of that one. The first one, they're wearing berets, was the only real kind of like that high lifes thing, you know, like where you circle the difference between pictures. That's where all these performances are kind of like. So yeah, they're wearing berets in the first one. Then in November they come back or show another performance in quotes of Love Cats. This time they're wearing shades but no berets. Yeah. And there's little stuffed animals on the pianos and drums now that weren't there on the last one. White piano, I think, for all of them. And then they come back in December 29th. Same shirt this time as the one before even. And this is the same performance as Dear Prudence. Again, I had both of them playing their biggest hits to date, Love Cats and Dear Prudence. So that was kind of cool. Again, they all look great for Dear Prudence. This time they're all wearing black and look a little even cooler even. And Robert even looks more bored and stoned out of his mind, or maybe both. So yeah, I think so. Yeah, the notes I had for performance 1 and 2 of Love Cats, same white piano, same BBC mic, but on the second one they turned it around so you don't see BBC. Yeah, I think. Yeah. Robert's hair is definitely the giveaway though, or it's like the same hair, like because it's cleaner and poofier than normal. But you can tell. And so that's performance 1 and 2. But on the third one, which is even weirder, it's the same stage set, same white piano, same red shirt that he had earlier. No BBC mic, but that's easy. They could just swap that out. Yeah. But his hair is noticeably longer and completely different style. It's like crunchier and bigger, like the Dear Prudence one. So I feel like the first two were probably shot together. Then the third one in December, they came back again probably. So, but it's weird because there's still a lot of crossover on the third one. So they must have like matched it somehow. So really weird. Maybe they thought that showed some kind of cool continuity of it climbing the charts if they looked the same for multiple performances too. But yeah, until doing this though, I didn't know of any or hadn't really considered any like multiple performance thing. So it is kind of an odd thing that they would have them back on, you know, to mine again. So you can see how they would be like, oh God, we gotta come back for this.
The November 10th 83 performance was also presented by John Peel and David Jensen again.
Okay, cool.
So yeah.
Awesome. Let's see. A Robert quote by the end of this Love Cats era here. He said, "We don't fit in on Top of the Pops."
Stop going.
I find it really hard to pretend to see through that camera into the homes of those millions of people who are really going to love you. It's such a farce. I look really bored because I am. We only do it because if we didn't, somebody else would. So I guess he means
another Cure band would show up and play Cure songs.
Some other band would be up there. So yeah, I guess that's his way of saying we kind of have to, you know, as far as being a successful band.
I guess so.
Let's see. Before the next one, March 9th, they do Swimming Horses in 84. Yep. So that's that one that I didn't have on the playlist, but I'll try to add that
March 29th. March 29th.
Oh, March 29th? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, then that makes sense because that's closer to when Hyena actually came out and was the single.
Yeah.
And such.
It's also really close to the next time The Cure is going to be on.
Oh, yeah.
So my guess is that maybe they filmed them around the same time then and just put this out like less than 2 weeks later.
So yeah, Caterpillar, because he's wearing the white shirt in the Caterpillar one as he is in Swimming Horses. Caterpillar, April 12th though, 84. They called this the controversial appearance because they all sat down.
Yeah.
Like compared to just being totally bored and not even pretending like you're performing. I guess that's really shaking it up there, Robert. But it's a little...
The next thing he could have done was just lay on the stage and gone to sleep.
Yeah.
This would probably be the next thing. Yeah, this is just as bizarre as the walk videos.
Yeah, this one is, but it's weird because it's kind of a little precursor to Unplugged almost. It feels like, really totally does. The vibe from the Unplugged sessions. We're all just sitting there. He's even faking playing the violin by scratching it and just fiddling with it, fiddling with the fiddle, and
breaking the strings on whatever that bar thing is that they.
Yeah. So they're just kind of dorking around there. Looks kind of like a cult or something because they're all wearing white shirts or something. It's something weird and just very hazy with the smoke everywhere. So yeah, and Phil is there.
On there.
So, yeah.
And then you see Andy playing the drums on his legs
at one
point, and it's just like cool.
And then the little bongos there. And he said, we were knackered. We had been in the city. You think?
If you look at Lowell looks like he hasn't arrived yet.
Yeah, sure. They're all just like, whoa. We had been in the studio all night. And I mean, why should we stand, right? Next time I may go on in a bed. So there you go. You got you. He said that was the next logical step. So but yeah, this was around that rough time for Robert too, where he's maybe getting stretched a little thin and doing a little too much. But yeah, I don't think the glove ever made it on the Top of the Pops. They had like a European
I don't think
version, but it wasn't officially Top of the Pops, the thing I saw. So. But yeah, that's a lot of appearances, man. Just in 1 year span. Simon's like, whoa, darn, I missed that. That whole era.
Oh, shoot.
The truth is why he was waiting to come back was so he wouldn't have to do 15 Top of the Pops episodes. Next one I had was In Between Days in 85. Yep. And this is the one where I had no mistaking. This is the 80s. When it comes out, it looks like, Miami Vice era, thick of the 80s, I guess, with pink big stuff clothes on the walls. Everybody looks like they're working out in the audience there, just like all kinds of like headbands on and shit, and dancing around, big suits, his hair's crimped. Yeah, all the clothes, the set design, just so much cocaine everywhere, probably.
Yeah. Lowell's playing a church organ.
Yeah. So, and it's strange, though, around this time, though, you just see a kind of a drastic shift. And while he's still clearly fucking off and not, taking it seriously, there's definitely like a more, as we saw in The Cure in general, of like, we're the pop band, we're here to like, let's bring this home, here we are. So
this is more of a performance than like actually putting on a show rather than the last ones. Everything before, like Robert's actually animated in this one. The band looks like they're actually playing a set. Simon's going off. Boris is fucking just slamming back there, even though he's not supposed
like,
to.
Dude, you don't have to try this hard. It's not real. It's like, I don't do anything half-assed.
I don't think he does, man. Nah. He is pounding away back there. It's just respect, and it might have gotten Robert's ass in gear because he's dancing around and doing his normal, and well, not normal, but like his, I guess, endearing side.
Yeah,
where he's
he playing guitar on this?
Face. No, he's just dancing around.
Yeah, that's it. Like this one and the next one, Boys Don't Cry, when they come back for Staying on the Beach, is kind of, I just lumped those together because it is like, you could tell they're just like full on pop stars at this point. When you see Boys Don't Cry, it's the same kind of deal where they almost have a glow about them, where they're just like, ha, fuckers, we did it. It was just like, oh, no more laying on the floor, no more. But yeah, so that one's pretty impressive too, and just full on 80s glory.
I feel like the Boys Don't Cry one is even more 80s.
Yeah,
if you can get there.
That might have been the one I was referring to too. Now that I think
no,
about
they
it,
both are. Like, this one is even bigger because they're a bigger band by this point.
Yeah,
and like it's full on 80s. Like, in I don't know. They look so good in this video, though.
Yeah, it's fun. All of a sudden, this is kind of that like whimsical Robert that everybody falls in love with. It was like, oh, look, he's just so weird but fun.
Yeah,
and it worked too. This is the first time out of all these performances we've talked about where the single actually advanced after their performance on Top of the Pops. Every other one, it just dropped down a little bit afterwards, Which doesn't sound totally right. Love Cats must have advanced a little bit after if they did it 3 times. So I don't know. I'm going by one of those books there. So I think it was the visual documentary one, but they said that this was the first time that it actually helped their chart success by appearing on there. Like maybe they just kept dropping a little bit each time when they did Love Cats, but
this is also one of the only times you'll probably ever see Lowell playing the guitar.
Yeah. I did put a note of that. Lowell's playing guitar. What?
Yeah.
So yeah,
he looks like he pulls it off like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, it was around this era where he starts getting into like playing trumpets and anything that he didn't actually play.
Like, additional instruments.
Yeah, violin for the Catch video. He's just
he's a jack of all trades.
He's totally convinced he's crushing it up there. These are probably his favorite performances during this era. He's like, we fucking nailed it. That sounded great. But,
oh man, yeah. But Boris is still slamming, and Simon has got the biggest hair he's ever had, and he's going to town too. So
excellent. So then, a little weird on the next was that there isn't one for which there's got to be like a Why Can't I Be You or something. This is one where I found a lot of like decoy ones that weren't actual Top of the Pops, but on French TV and stuff. So I might be missing one there, but like no Just Like Heaven, no.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of is that they were just on tour and didn't have a chance. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
it didn't really make sense.
And the fact that none of these hardly coming up are reoccurring ones too also hints that maybe they're just finally getting big enough where they could tell Top of the Pops to fuck off and not, like feel like he gives a shit to go back on there or do it for every single that's on the charts and stuff like that. So that's kind of surprising though. You would think that something from Kiss Me would have been on there, but not finding it. So
yeah, that's it's very weird, but also I mean they were also in France recording,
because there are French ones. There are like the ones I thought was like one where he's wearing that little suit jacket and stuff, or Lowell's playing the trumpet and those kind of deals. So maybe they were just like, we've covered that over here. They would come back though for their biggest UK hit, of course, to date. Highest charting single for April 20th, 1989, Lullaby. Robert Pearl go extra heavy on the black eye makeup for this one, maybe as a nod to the video, or maybe he just didn't wash his face after the video. Not sure.
Just came right over from the set.
Yeah, but he's definitely got the full spider eyes still going. I could have sworn, just in my little stupid Cure memory bank somewhere floating in my head, there was a great story somewhere about them, like the lead up to them going to Top of the Pops and how they're just totally trashed and almost missed 20 flights or something. I remember just being like a kind of long story, but kind of funny too. How it was like finally their biggest hit and they had to fly there or something, like from somewhere they were where they had to stop it all and they didn't want to do it. But I can't remember the punchline. And I can't find the goddamn story anywhere. So how's that for some good journalism? Yeah. So it makes sense. I don't know where the hell. I thought maybe even in like Roger's disintegration blogs from way back or something, but I couldn't find it. So I don't know where the hell that came up. But yeah, it's out there, and I'm sure it's quite a story because they rushed back, and they were super wasted apparently, like during this performance, which does make sense. But I think for all of them, you could probably say that. Notable weirdness: Simon's playing the bass 6 and not an actual bass, so which he does in the Fascination Street video too, which. It took me years to catch that. I was like, oh, wait, why is he playing a guitar? Wait, it's a sort of guitar. But otherwise, they're behaving pretty good for this one. I feel like everybody's kind of doing it.
We get our first sight of Roger.
Rogers, first.
And the first scene you see him in is looks like it's being shot from his penis because it's straight up from his groin up to his face. It's just like,
think that was on purpose?
I don't know. They just stuck the camera underneath the keyboard.
All right,
it was like, whoa, Jesus Christ. And then but everybody looks great. Robert looks thin and he looks perfect. Like his eyes, his makeup, his moves, he's on point. Kind of disappointing that Pearl's in the background and not really doing much in this, but you have Boris like right out there for everybody to see. He's right off to the right of Robert, so he's not in the background.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, really cool. It might be this one or Pitches You where they're kind of more in a row on this one. Are they kind of like lined up? It's not like, it almost seems like Pearl's kind of like behind everybody, like in a line more than like a wider stage. Maybe it's just hard to get that full lineup on a stage. There's like 5 of them at that point at least. So pretty cool otherwise. And Simon's wearing the hat and everything, but making it look pretty cool. So it works out good. Next one was Pictures of You. They come back for Disintegration. Again, looking pretty good, and they're pretty well behaved on this one too. Robert's got his shorter, fluffier hair from like the video era there of the early 90s. Pearl's playing left-handed though, so that was the big inside joke. Which it's like, all right,
with a pirate shirt on, it looks like.
Yeah, I don't know. You never know. But super thick makeup. Hard to tell if that was what he was just wanting to look like. It's like really caked on.
His makeup looks like he's wearing a mask.
Yeah.
That's how thick it is.
Yeah.
It must have taken him a month to get that off.
When you say Robert Smith has thick makeup on, you know that's gotta be some thick makeup, you know. So, and again, it's a pretty quick fade out because I guess they didn't want to devote 8 minutes or whatever to the full extended version of Pitches of You. So I don't think it made it to like the second verse. They're just like, okay, great, all right, see you later, Bob.
It's only 3 minutes long, so you don't get the full experience, but they all look pretty good. They are less animated than they were in the last couple of videos.
Yeah, probably worn down.
That's also
pretty good
a less poppy song.
End of the tour. They're pretty worn out by this point. So is Roger there, or is he already?
Yeah, he's there. He's got really, really pale white makeup on as well, and he's just chilling. So being his cool self.
Yeah. So nothing from Wish, which could be
that surprised me too.
Yeah.
Does that surprise you more than Kiss Me?
Bit, maybe not in the sense because we're getting into the 90s and I'm starting to wonder how relevant Top of the Pops even was at this point, where it's starting to be maybe the fade out and it's not that big of a thing that you have to do. Again, they're touring huge, so it probably was the same kind of deal as Kiss Me because that was like mega tour. But yeah, such a huge album. You know, you would think Friday in Love, how do you not go on for that? I did find a clip that was an official Top of the Pops where Perry and Simon introduced the video for Friday I'm in Love, where they're just the two of them, and they're like, and they say make a joke or something, and they just showed the video, I guess, and maybe they started doing that around the 90s too.
That's maybe what that was then. Why they're
for Love Song, you think?
Yeah, they might have been just promoting the video.
Okay. So kind of weird that they skipped it for Wish, but then would come back in 96 for the 13th. Ooh. And I had 2 for 13th, but the second one I just had a date for, so I think I only had footage maybe for 1, but the one's like a mega performance. He's actually singing vocals. I think the rest of it's obviously all just mime into like an instrumental track, but they're actually, and this is something they start doing on Top of the Pops around mid 90s, is letting them actually sing it, but not over their own band. So they have like a karaoke version basically where he's able to sing it. And they do a great job with this one because they're having fun with it. You can tell they have like tons of people on stage, like mariachi shirts and horns, and everybody's there. The lady from the video is doing the do it to me and everything's just a big old weird ass party as the 13th should be. So yeah, it definitely
looks like
the
date that you have on that?
I had April 18th, 96 for the first one.
They have one for April 18th, 1996, where they played the 13th, where Bear Van Beers was the presenter, and then May 2nd, 1996, where Michelle Gale was the presenter.
Okay.
Yeah, this one is this one is May 2nd. This is the May 2nd one.
Okay.
So Michelle Gale.
Cool. But that one performance is definitely a good one worth watching because they got the whole kind of nod to the video going, and looks like they're having the most fun they've ever had on the Top of the Pops for sure.
The second one looks a lot more crowded and a lot more. It's definitely two different performances though.
Okay.
So
awesome.
Yeah. But they both look like fun.
Yeah.
They both look like a blast. I don't particularly like that song, but it looks like they were having a real good time with it.
And it might have something to do with he's actually at least singing. So it's amazing how the performer actually enjoys himself when he gets to perform.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. All right. So moving on from that, we get on the last stretch here, and it gets a little weird, surprisingly.
A little bit.
A little weird on Top of the Pops. Somehow they all go to Germany now. Maybe this is another little factoid some UK listeners can help us out with, because all of them are recorded at MMC Studios in Herth, Germany. And and we get Cut Here as the first one. It's like a full-on German presenter. Again, this one I think it was just still full-on mimed again. Where but they're giving a good effort. It's much like the video where they're all wearing kind of the black suits and such, but nothing too noteworthy. Even I felt like they weren't goofing too much or doing anything really. But great song. Good that they're on it for that.
An odd one.
Yeah. Oh, wait. That's what you mean. Because, before this one starts, there's a sort of interview where the guy comes up and talks to him. Yeah. That's actually worth seeing. He comes up and just says, "You want to disband the Cure?" Robert says, "No." And he's like, "All right," and performing. He just totally says no.
Oh, yeah. No. And then the guy's like,
"Oh, cool. All right. Well, have fun."
Big gulps, huh? All right. See you later.
So that was pretty fun.
It's a terrible interview. It's just a terrible, vibe, but like it's a great song and they do a good job with it. Yeah.
And I guess that's his nod to still saying "fuck off, Top of the Pops," but we're here. It's him just shooting down the interview question portion of the evening. That didn't take off, I guess. Maybe that's why they didn't do that again. The following, let's see, 2004 is closing in on the end here. We got The End of the World, the Cure. Perform live vocals at least again, so that he gets to come back. This is the one where Baby Spice and another German fella introduced the band. I don't know if he's a star or not, but that's definitely Baby Spice there. And she introduces Into the
World.
Star
in our eyes.
Yeah. Simon has a cool kind of faux hawk going. Funny. I used to think Robert looked kind of a mess in 2004, but when I see this now, I'm like, oh, look, he looks great. He's like, looks slim and healthy.
Yeah,
so who knows? Maybe it's I guess it was like 20 years ago almost now. So, but not that he doesn't look good now, but I'm just saying it's funny how time changes everything. Just like 2004. Yeah, he looks great in 2004.
That was like 5 weeks ago. Whoa.
But he looks kind of young to me there. It's sweet. But so that was a good performance. They kind of, you can tell he's a little more into it because he's singing it for real again. And then the final one I had is Taking Off. Again with live vocals. So maybe I do have the clip of that somewhere where I could tell that he was actually singing that on December 18th. Looked like the exact same set and stage and everything, so I think or maybe not. Let's see, what was the date?
I had the video.
Okay, so maybe that was a little later, but it was taking off in Germany, and apparently Alt End was also performed, but didn't get broadcast there.
Thank God.
So. But this was the one, something where I couldn't link to it or something, but there is a YouTube, you can track it down, but I wasn't able to get it into my playlist for some reason.
I have the YouTube clip. Do you want me to send it to you?
Yeah, send it on over.
You gotta scan forward about a minute and a half, because it's like the actual show.
That's what it was. I didn't want to put the whole clip in there, but so maybe I'll do that since it's the last one anyway. Or I think it's the last one. Did you have any more? Or was that the finale?
I don't think so. No, I think that's it. Unless they resurrect Top of the Pops.
Because I guess, if 2006 was the farewell and 2008 was 413. So, their final performance, Taking Off.
Yeah.
What a way to go. So
no, actually, the final performance was Alt End.
Oh, right.
Everybody in that studio was never heard from again.
Exactly. So, I guess that's kind of a fitting end, and I'll just kind of fizzle out. Really, but it's pretty cool, and I like that they stuck to their guns and fucked off for at least 98% of their performances on Top of the Pops, I think, and are definitely worth watching in the sense that, if you have a boring night at home, definitely pull up the playlist because they're entertaining, even though it's kind of ridiculous. And
you get a real time capsule moment of what like fashion and what the general aesthetic was back then.
Yeah.
In England, I guess, or just in the world in general. Because it looked just like you would think of American TV would been at the time, with bright colors and it's a trip. They're fun to watch. I mean, it's if you're a fan of the band and you like watching live performances.
And it's a pretty fun rabbit hole too if you start digging up those, like, there's people that have like all just really good quality Top of the Pops playlist and stuff on YouTube too, of just like I got watching some like Aztec camera ones and just weird shit that I'm like, oh wow, because a lot of those you wouldn't see anywhere anyway, especially in the US and stuff, like these kind of slightly less huge British bands and stuff, or
one hit wonder kind of thing.
So I mean, it's kind of cool to see those as opposed to like the videos you've seen a billion times and stuff from the 80s, it's like, there's some cool ones out there. So definitely worth checking out if you haven't gone down that rabbit hole, and hopefully we cleared up some of the mystery of Top of the Pops or what it is. But
I'm watching a really cool Clash Tommy Gunn video,
all right,
which is fucking amazing because it looks like they're playing. It really looks like they're playing live.
Yeah, there were little weird exceptions. I stumbled across those kind of things too, where certain bands would demand it or something, or they would try to steer away.
They're totally not playing live, but they're selling it like they are.
Okay, cool.
They're damn, this is such a good video.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
There's something with Iron Maiden, I remember. I couldn't remember from what year. It must have been fairly early on, but they did something where they actually played, and there's a lot of good ones of other bands just doing the Cure kind of style fuck off to the kind of infamous Nirvana one when they get on there and where they actually gave him the live mic to sing it, but then he just is just doing everything else on top of it. And so there's a lot of good ones of those floating around there. Of course, the Blue Monday one, that was like historic. It was one of the early ones where they let them play. I think that's probably why they wouldn't let them play after that, because that's like such a horrific. It's awesome, but it's so bad. It's just so bad.
I just brought it up on my YouTube.
Yeah, it's pretty horrid, but I love it. That's a fun one to revisit. It's lots of good ones.
Oh my God, this is amazing. Oh man, I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole and I can't go down it right now.
So Chaz is gonna stay up till 5 a.m. tonight watching Top of the Pops performances.
Yeah.
But I hope you guys enjoyed that, and thank you for helping me along there, Chaz. And
no, not a problem. I love this stuff.
Giving me nightmares about Jimmy Savile now, and
sorry.
and, Nosferatu there.
Ooh, Dracula music.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it was fun, like an obvious one that we hadn't touched on, but I think those performances are key in the Cure's history for sure. So everyone needs to see them. But
some of my favorite episodes that we do are the ones where we get to go down rabbit holes like this, like we did with the movie thing, and then this one, and music videos, like where I don't know, I just feel like it's a lot more fun.
A little more casual than the 40th epic anniversary of some perfect album that you have to justify everything you say. So we hope you guys enjoyed a nice casual episode out there too. And
I'd love to hear anybody if you're lived in England or were able to see Top of the Pops when you were a kid, like let us know like what it was like and why it was so important. And I'd be interested to hear that. If you watched them, absolutely.
Like the girls in the sailor hats and the walk. That was how I was able to other little clues of it was the same performance on the same day, because it was like 3 girls wearing like little sailor hats. I was like, there's no way they brought them back on a different day.
If you were one of the women in cages,
definitely. Sorry for the Road Warrior comments, but at the same time, well done.
I wanted to tell you something today, but I completely forgot. I was going to tell you at the beginning of the thing. This guy I work with, Mike, is he's almost 60, and he found out that I was a Cure fan, and he was like, I love The Cure. And I'm like, what? And he was like, yeah, like the first song I ever heard from them was in 1983, The Walk. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, Charlotte Sometimes, one of my favorite songs ever. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Awesome.
And like then he was like, he said one of the weirdest sentences I've ever heard in my life. He said, I saw the B-52s and the Ramones play at the Philadelphia Zoo in 1981.
Wow. All right. Shit.
But he told me all about, like, he went to go see he saw The Cure and with the Psychedelic Furs in 1987.
Oh wow.
So I was just like, shit.
Damn.
I gotta hear this story.
Yeah, we should get him on.
Oh man, he is such a cool guy. I never knew it until he told me.
That's
and then
cool.
We did that work music thing I was telling you about, and he picked Charlotte Sometimes.
Nice.
Put it on there. So
Awesome.
So,
he's like, that guy that wears Cure shirts every day. I never thought to tell him that I like the Cure.
I don't wear them at work. I'm not allowed to, but it was funny. Made me laugh.
That's awesome. Cool. Yeah, we'll tell him if he wants to tell the story. He's welcome anytime. Cool. You can do it on the clock at work. Maybe you could just bring like a recorder and get him to. What are you guys doing?
I've been to the Philadelphia Zoo so many times, and I know where I think the stage he was telling me about, I think I know where it's at.
Wow.
And I'm just like, it blows my mind that like families would just be walking around the zoo and then like the Ramones are playing over there next to the tigers. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
Here comes a manta ray.
Rock lobster.
Freaking out and shit. All the animals are like bouncing off the cages and shit.
God, yeah. I can't, like, like that, like I'm trying to imagine in my mind and how dirty the city was in 1981. And it's just like,
that's pretty rad.
I can't imagine a reality where that happened. So.
They probably fired their agent after that one. We're playing the zoo.
They probably fired whoever booked it at the zoo.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Their agent for booking the zoo gig. It's a puppet show and the Ramones.
I'm just imagining the crowd too. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, a bunch of old kids. And
then like you just have all the punks from South Street coming up there and watching. Yeah. Oh man.
It'd be pretty rad.
Time machine. They like that's an official time machine set. I'd want to say.
Yeah, definitely would make that one happen. That sounds good. It's probably like a free show too or something. Like just get into the zoo and go see that.
Yeah, probably fucking the Dead Milkmen open or something. Like I've never heard of them before.
Yeah,
it's like blowing my mind. So, but yeah, I figured I'd share that with you.
Yeah, that's pretty rad.
That was Like, I don't know. If you haven't been to Philadelphia or the Philadelphia Zoo and like where it's located and like the history of that area, it makes a lot more sense why it doesn't make any sense.
Right. Awesome. Very cool.
But, yeah.
Awesome. Well, on that Zootastic news reference, we'll leave you guys there. And we'll catch you next time. And thank you, Chaz.
Thank you.
And thank you guys out there. Go watch some Top of the Pops. Check out our playlist. And let us know what you think. So for now, we'll say talk hard and from the zoo. All right, again, a very special thank you to Chaz and to all you guys for listening, and we would love to close out the show by a big ol' shout out to our loyal, lovely Patreon crew. And I got Henson here to join me again. How's it going, man?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Oh, they're doing good. I'm doing good. And wow, what an episode that was, huh?
Whoa.
Yeah, you're still recovering from that one, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot to process. So why don't we shout out the names in the meantime? Who do we got to say thanks to?
We got Donna, Craig, Jeff Hilton, Jeff Jones, Suzanne, Ben, John, Allison, Alan, Dione, Nemesio, and Danny.
And Danny, yes, thank you. And of course, Scott Kruger and his crew are crushing it over at the Sarlacc Digest, an all Star Wars podcast. Be sure to join them this Wednesday on YouTube at 8 p.m. Pacific time, in particular as they discuss the final installment of Obi-Wan Kenobi, the series. They'll be sure to call out all the awesome tiny little details and references that you may or may not have missed, reinforce all the many parts that blew your mind, and even calm your nerves, perhaps, of anything that you may have thought tainted your precious idea of classic Star Wars. Ugh, these guys are the real deal, not those bullshit clickbait clip videos that you see all over your YouTube algorithms. They have no trouble reminding us why we love Star Wars and why it's so much fun. Don't you agree, Henson?
I got one person I watch.
One person?
Yeah, one person.
Oh, aside from Sarlacc Digest?
Yeah.
On YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Who are you watching? It's not that Zero idiot, is it?
No, it's
okay, good.
It's not Zero idiot.
Anyway, we'll discuss this later.
I don't even know who that Zero idiot.
Good. Kate, we also got to give a big shout out to over at CureThreads.com, who has an absolutely brilliant website where you can satisfy all your Cure shopping needs. She has all kinds of original Cure-inspired designs available on everything from t-shirts to coffee mugs to wall clocks even. Woo. And there's new candy striped leggings that are really cool over there. You gotta go check them out. And also be sure to check out her newest book, Secret Life of the Otter, that is out. It is not on the CureThreads.com site yet, but if you go over to Amazon and just punch in Secret Life of the Otter, you'll find it. She did all the wonderful illustrations for that book. So go snag that. It's a perfect gift for children and other people. If you live in Calgary, Canada, you are looking for a reason to get out of the house, go to Dickens. It's a pub/venue. You may even find our loyal patron Lisa up there, and you can chat her up about the Cure as you watch wonderful shows such as the drag tribute to Buffy the Vampire Slayer on June 19th. And, that's tonight. Dun dun. Still got time. Get out there.
We need to get.
We got. I don't think we're gonna make it, but anybody that lives in
a 5-hour trip.
A little longer than that, I think, for us. That's probably close to like 30 hours.
Okay, let's go. Come on.
We got to get going. Or go check out one of my personal heroes, Alex Cameron, who's playing June 23rd. He's amazing live. You'd be so happy if you went to that. Lydia Lunch is planned June 25th. Go to dickensyyc.com to find all the details and all the upcoming acts. And also keep your eyes peeled for their live streams at Dickens YYC on Twitch. Set them notifications so you don't miss it. And Matt, of course, recommends that you do something good for your fellow humans and download the Red Cross Blood Donor app. It makes it easy to find a location, schedule an appointment, and donate your blood. As long as your heart is bumping, then you are good to go. You can share some blood. Get out there, share it stat, because some people need it. You may be fine, but they need your blood. So do your part, right, Henson?
No.
Don't listen to him. All right, and go check out. Don't go check out. What else? Chaz's website, 17 Second Shirts. He's got this rad Wish tie-dye shirt that he's putting out. It should be available. Go do the pre-order. You can follow him at 17_seconds on Instagram, or go to 17secondshirts.bigcartel.com to put in your pre-order. You don't want to miss out on this one. It's super rad, and all his future shirts, for that matter. Treat yourself to a new Cure shirt. You deserve it, man. Don't you think? Yeah. Everyone. Oh. And also check out Chaz's podcast, Excommunication Station, which he examines the trials and tribulations of growing up in the church, along with our buddy Antonio's podcast, Nobody Speaks, where he's cranking out all kinds of great music talk. I was just a guest on there, so if you want to hear me talk about anything other than Cure, we talk about some other songwriting heroes of mine and songwriting in general. So go on over, and if you need more of my voice, which no one needs, right? You can check that out though. Give it a week or so, then check it out. So because it's a great podcast, always a fun listen. All right, happy Father's Day to all you dads out there. Be kind to your children, like Henson. And,
wait, I don't have kids.
Love every minute of every day with them. If you're lucky enough to still have your old dad out there too, be sure to turn this off immediately and call him up, or go give him a big old hug, and appreciate every minute you have. So we'll be back in 2 weeks with more Cure talk. What do you say, Henson? Time to sign off?
Sure.
Anything you want to say to close us out? Cure album in October. Jason Cooper said it.
Yeah,
you excited?
So excited.
Do you trust him a little more than Robert?
I trust Robert more, but he's the one actually making the songs.
Jason's in there. All right, well, let's see in October what happens. All right, take it easy, guys.
Bye.
Talk hard.
That's stupid.